Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Inside Spurs with reaction to the breaking news that Thomas Frank has been sacked. This show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. Please gamble responsibly. My name is Majestic and I'm joined as always by Sonny Snelling from Sonny talkSPORT and fellow Spurs fan and content creator Abbi Summers. Wow, it happened. I said it last night, 10 o'clock this morning, he'll be gone. We've got to start with the woman that's gone viral recently saying how much she wants him out. Abbi Summers, have you been doing somersaults around your kitchen? I
literally have, actually. Like, bear in mind, I didn't get back from talkSPORT last night until almost midnight. I was so angry. I was telling producer Kev before, the whole way home I was talking to myself. People must have thought I was insane. I was just so angry and I had no one to talk to. So I'm just sitting there muttering along to myself for hours.
Angrier than Angry Matt that calls talkSPORT, yeah?
I was so angry. Head was on Pluto. It was so far gone. I'm surprised it's still attached to my neck this morning. And I had to decompress. I got home. I watched Love Island because I was so angry I couldn't sleep. Ended up going to sleep at 3. Woke up about 9:45 to literally to a text being like, he's gone. And I was like, what? And then obviously this morning's just been crazy because, let's be honest, we've seen that level of performance countless times this season. Countless. And nothing's been done. He should have been sacked months ago. I would have sacked him after the Arsenal game, in my opinion. Yeah. Even though that was early, because you could see exactly where this was going. You could see just how pathetic, lifeless, limp, weak, cowardly the performances were. And not just from the team, from the manager. And the team selection and the way in which he's set up. So much of this season has been sit back, hit and hope, and literally be like that. That's how I describe our performances. Where has anything ever been positive under the Thomas Frank era, bar the game against PSG, which obviously went and lost in the Super Cup, and one game against Manchester City? He has done nothing to warrant still being there at this point. And this club have allowed us to sleepwalk into a relegation battle, which we are in. Make no bones about it. We are in a relegation battle, guys. The only reason they have pulled the trigger is probably because they're now concerned it's going to hit the bottom line. It's going to affect their pockets. And when I saw last night some of the prices of those tickets for Newcastle at home, we're talking about 12th against 15th last night. And some of those tickets were up to £106 that I saw. Ugh. Are you joking? Are you joking? As a football club, you have no right to be charging us this amount of money to go and watch this. And I'm glad that it was pretty empty last night as well, because why should we keep doing that?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go. I just let my tickets go.
They've got us over a barrel.
Didn't even give in to anyone else.
They've got us over a barrel, right? When it comes to, obviously, you pay for your season ticket, because above all, we support the football club. Whoever's there, whoever's in charge, whoever's the owner, whatever, we are there to support Tottenham Hotspur. But you want to charge us that? Like, if you want to go and watch a game, it's absolutely outrageous and ridiculous. And it's hit the bottom line. They've finally woken up and realised, hopefully it's not too late, that we are in a relegation battle, and sticking with him is completely untenable. Why it has taken again this long, I will never understand. I'm convinced it's an inside job. Someone trying to bring us down from the inside. But thank God this morning we can breathe a little bit. We're still in a relegation battle, and that still is very, very serious. But at least, you know, we can try and start thinking about how we're going to turn this round in the next 12 days.
Sonny, let's talk to you. How are you feeling?
Well, I think Abby's hit the nail on the head there. I don't think it's time to, get the flags and the banners out just yet, because, the doo-doo is about to hit the fan when it comes to the Premier League. That first half last night was an absolute disgrace to go.
Shambles,
as Jamie O'Hara would say. But it's just poor. I mean, they're going through the motions. You're allowing crosses to be swung in. No one's closing them down. Another injury to Wilson Odobert. I was looking it up. I think Thomas Frank's win percentage is 26.9, which puts him as the worst Tottenham manager. I don't know if that I think that counts as permanent managers as well, and obviously the worst manager to manage a Big Six team if you take that into consideration.
Do you know how bad you've got to be? Right, think about all the managers we've had at Tottenham. Do you know how bad you've got to be the worst manager of all time?
It's bad, isn't it? It is bad.
That's the thing.
Just quickly, guys, I'm going to read the club statement. The club has taken the decision to make a change in the men's head coach position, and Thomas Frank will leave today. Thomas was appointed in June 2025, and we've been determined to give him the time and support needed to build for the future together. However, results and performances have led the board to conclude that a change at this point in the season is necessary. Throughout his time at the club, Thomas has conducted himself with unwavering commitment, giving everything in his efforts to move the club forward. We'd like to thank him for his contribution and wish him every success in the future. So that means Thomas is gone. What about the rest of the backroom staff? Do we have any insight on that yet? Is Justin Cochran still there?
They've all got to go, haven't they? Like, just get rid of them all, because they're all brought in. They've brought nothing to the table. To be frank, I mean, Justin Cochran, it must be. I didn't even mean to do that. Justin Cochran's an Arsenal fan, so, you know, obviously he adds more to this inside job malark. But I just feel like that statement you've just read out there, Madge, is the most wishy-washy tweet or statement I've ever seen from a football club regarding a sacking. It is almost like they've been pushed rather than jump. Like, because they just think, oh, actually, like, it was telling last night, but you got people chanting Mauricio Pochettino's name. I'm sure we're going to get onto him as this video goes on. You got people saying he's going to get sacked in the morning. That, you know, what other choice did the club have to do instead of just going, right, actually, this hasn't
becoming
worked
embarrassing, out. Sonny. Became embarrassing, didn't it?
The thing is that, like, at the end of the day, I think they would have let him keep him in situ until the end of the season, but it just is untenable at this stage, and it is getting worrying. I feel like there is like, there's nothing that looks like it's changing. I think even Frank, the way he was talking last night, he was very confident he was gonna be in charge of the Arsenal game. He was blaming, you know, saying the situation was the same last year and blaming injuries, and I'm like, I feel hoodwinked, because this looks like a different person. It's like Thomas Frank's twin, like how he used to handle himself at Brentford and before Brentford at Brøndby as well. It's like chalk and cheese now, and I don't know if that's him being broken by Tottenham, or if that's just, or if it's just the manager's
we've got to take a little responsibility of that. I think, I tell you what, if you really want to see the mark of someone, get them in charge of Tottenham under pressure, and you'll see exactly what they're, you know, you'll see their true colours. If you ever think about, you know, red flags with someone, let them take charge of Tottenham for a bit, and you'll see under pressure how they're feeling. Abbi, listen, you know, we was all in the group chat last night talking, of course, you was on the Goal Show on talkSPORT. When did you know during that game he was gone? For me, as soon as Newcastle scored, it's done. It's done.
Well, I could give you so many games where I thought he was gone and then he's still there the next day. So to me last night, it was nothing that I haven't seen week in, week out. The first half was diabolical. Like, in all honesty, the whole performance was diabolical. If we were in the Championship, we would not have looked out of place. Arguably, we wouldn't have even looked out of place in League One, in all honesty. We really wouldn't have. I think I felt that it was... They can't let it go on like this any longer than they already had. Probably at half time, in all honesty. I just kind of felt that this is an opportunity. This is your last opportunity to sack him, right? You've got 12 days, which we haven't had off in ages. 12 days before a massive game. We've got Arsenal coming to Spurs, right? Regardless of whatever's going on at Arsenal, I haven't seen us perform in a North London derby really in years, if I'm honest. You've got an opportunity.
Probably that night with Conte at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Probably was last one.
What, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe Andy's first season at the Emirates, like a little bit of fight back.
Yeah, maybe. But
still a draw.
You know, a proper, like us putting up a proper fight in a North London derby at home as well. I haven't seen that in a very, very long time. This is a huge 12 days for us. And I said it last night. We've got 12 days to save this football club. Because if we would have persisted with Thomas Frank, I genuinely think we would have gone down. And I know that some people say, we wouldn't have gone down. How do you know that? Because I would never have banked on this Spurs side, the mentality of this team, the mentality of this manager, if we actually ended up in that red zone to come out. I wouldn't have. Because what on earth would I have seen in the last 8 months to indicate that we would have the bollocks about us to do it?
Yeah.
You know, and
you're right, because last night, listening to Jamie and Jason on the sports bar, Jason was saying champagne players when we need pints of bitter players. And they're correct. You know, who's in there for the dogfight? Maybe 3 or 4 of them. Polinia was one of them. And he didn't even start yesterday. Are you not starting Polinia in a game against Newcastle? Big physical Newcastle who comes to Tottenham.
Polinia.
I know, it's incredible. Sonny, I want to give you this one. I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan, but I saw something on X yesterday, right? You know Gil Gunderson. Oh, Gil. Someone compared Thomas Frank to Gil Gunderson. Now, hopefully in the edit, producer Kev can get a picture of Gil Gunderson up, because you'll know who he is from The Simpsons. He's the one who never gets the deal done. It's like, I was so close to selling that car. And I think that's what Thomas Frank's tenure at Spurs will always be. It's like, yeah, we lost today, but I saw a lot of improvements. We nearly got there, you know. You can imagine when he's ringing like the missus on the way home and he's like, we're so close today, almost there. We're in a relegation battle, as Abbi said, and it just couldn't go on any further. I'd just like to state now that I really do feel a little for Thomas Frank, and I just feel this whole situation might have just been a little bit too big for him. The fact that Chelsea and Manchester United didn't go with him when they spoke to him, obviously they saw flaws in his character that maybe he isn't right for that bigger jobs. And we've seen it with the likes of Graham Potter stepping up to, you know, the bigger jobs into the, you know, the top six, the big six, not top six, because we're right nowhere near top six. Yeah. But I just feel a little sorry for him, and I think it was almost like today's put him out of his misery a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? You say Gil Gunderson there. There's an episode, this is a really niche Simpsons reference, where he stays at the Simpsons house for a year, and Marge hasn't got the front to say, can you leave? That's literally Thomas Frank. We didn't have the front to say, actually, mate, this is not really working out. Do I feel sorry for him? No, because he decided to take the job and I mean, Abbi said off air just before we started recording, he was on, was it 8 million a year?
Yeah, that's a lot
or something
of money.
like that. He could have easily just said, right, like, you know, don't sign a long-term deal if you're not sure if you can, you know, really change his squad around. And it was just like some of the quotes, like I think I tweeted last night, there was some quote he said, and it was literally like, this is on you. What you're talking about, this is your job. This is your job to turn this around. And, you know, we've only seen a one game. I wouldn't even count the PSG game as a good game, because in the end we did bottle it. I mean, the City game was a full 90 minutes of, you know, pressing. Last night they're not pressing, they're not closing down, the passing's terrible, the shape's awful, the midfield just gets bypassed. And do you know who I actually feel sorry for? And I'll be honest, I wanted him out, and I still stand by my decision. I feel sorry for Ange, because I feel like Ange was absolutely getting hounded by you know, people like us, journalists in, you know, Thomas Frank. People are still defending him, whether it's former players of his, whether it's like pundits and saying like, oh, you know, he hasn't had a fair crack of the whip. We're now in February. He has not won a game in 2026. He's won 2 home games against Burnley and Brentford. His former club is doing better without him and is on for a record finish in the Premier League. And I think like you could, if you know, if they do that, Brentford, that wipes out everything Thomas Frank's done beforehand. Because I feel like, you know, they got rid of Mbuemo, they got rid of Visser, they got rid of Norgard. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like you've referenced it on previous shows, Madge. Gives me the Potter vibes at Chelsea. Just, you know, sometimes these managers can't make that step up. You know, we've seen Pochettino did when he came to us originally. Like, it's sort of...
Our expectation was a lot lower, though.
It was. That's the thing. Like, I did not go into this season going, right, top 4. I said top 8.
Yeah.
I think this squad, and then you build on it from there. I wasn't expecting a trophy. I wasn't expecting, you know, a deep run in the Champions League or anything. I expected just some healing, some like sort of
healing,
something to work on, and then go, right, this is our style of play. Thomas Frank hasn't stood by any of his principles, and I worry for him now in the sense of this could, you know, he probably would still get a Premier League job, but I feel like people will now be wary, being like, right, actually, was it the club setup was the Brentford setup perfect for you?
Just on something you said about feeling sorry for him, I do feel sorry for him in a certain sense, that I feel like, again, injuries have not helped whatsoever, but I also feel like I don't even think us fans have really even used that as an excuse much this season, when we could have. We haven't massively. I don't like the fact that he's had a lot of grace with the media and Ange didn't. I was late to the Ange out party. I didn't switch until April.
Same.
Right? And the way that Ange was dealt with in the media, and probably because he is that prickly character, he's, you know, he don't like to beat around the bush, he's quite harsh, he'll tell you about yourself. I think that that's a different relationship to what obviously Thomas Frank has had with the media. Everyone says he's...
Don't forget as well, Ab, Thomas Frank has had how many years experience with this same media? You know, it's like us knowing someone and having sort of a relationship with them. You kind of want to see them do well. Where Ange's come into our world, and he, you know, give it the big un, so to speak.
But in all honesty,
so people,
Ange, he backed it up. Like, it's one of the, in my opinion, that's one of the coldest moments ever in football, maybe even sport. To say, you know, I always win things in my second season. You're talking about a team like Tottenham, and then you go and do it. But the way in which the media had dealt with him, and maybe it's a disrespect because he was Australian, maybe it was just a thing saying, oh, he's not very good, he came, you know, he's only managing the J League, or he's only managed in Scotland. I think it was totally unfair that the way that the media has dealt with him, but has kind of allowed Thomas Frank and the mismanagement that he's put in at Tottenham to go under the radar. And he did do a very good job at Brentford. I don't think it undoes everything he did, because we've seen what he's done with, you know, in terms of bringing those players through and developing them and making Brentford a team that is a long-standing club that will stay in the Premier League. But this job was way too big for him. Way too big. And for all the will in the world, you want it to work when you sign a new manager. But I think we saw the signs early doors. And what he was always praised for was his tactical adaptability. And we've not even seen that. Not seen any of it. You know, and patterns of play and like being able to adapt to who you're playing. I look at how we attack games. It was like our attacking area on the pitch is so isolated from everyone else. Like, if you have a look at the positionings of a Solanke or of a Xavi Simons, and then have a look at where is anyone else that's trying to help, late runs into the box. It's so pragmatic.
No one wants the ball, do they? Like last night they said that on the commentary. No one wants to. No one's offering. Everyone's like Bassoon will be on the ball looking up, and everyone's like. You know,
do you know what it feels like, guys? It feels...
There's no movement, there's no creativity. It's incredibly rigid and incredibly flat. And if you're winning,
and also, Abs, it feels like they've been coached to death.
Yeah.
It feels like there's so much, like, you know, he's always got the notepad and intricacies and like the second balls and all that kind of stuff. You know, not allowing the freedom of those players. Now, we will come on to it in a moment, but we're talking about Pochettino. Now, I've been doing my major sell on Poch in recent times, as you've seen on this podcast, right? And to other people.
I've noticed.
I use Cole Palmer as the example. Go and listen to what Cole Palmer says about Poch when he was at Chelsea. He gives me the freedom, right? The freedom. Certain players need a little bit of freedom to show tenacity. And I think some of those young players working under Frank probably feel very frustrated that it's so rigid, as you said, Abs, and like, you know, you can't go and do this. And that's why, you know, senior players like Romero take it upon themselves to go, do you know what, I'm going to go and be a striker for 10 minutes because I'm not listening to this guy. And you know what, I backed him after the City game going, oh, it does look like these players are fighting for him, because it looked like there was a little fight in that second half. But you said it ages ago, Abs, he's lost those players, and you was absolutely correct. And I think when we saw that Van der Ven and Spence snub, that's when the alarm bell should have rung. That's when the board should have went, hang about, wow, that's two big players of ours, you know, an absolute fan favourite and legend in Van der Ven, and they're snubbing our gaffer, and he doesn't even drop them. That shows the people say the cojones, the lack of cojones from.
You should say that. He's got no. He's got absolutely no. And in all honesty, this club has no either, because they would have sacked him.
That's a clip, that is.
They would have sacked him ages ago, and the only reason they've done it is because the hand's been forced. You know, it's untenable. It has been for ages. You can't have away fans saying you're getting sacked in the morning. You know, once the away fans go for me, that's it. Your time's done. And he's still been there a good month, 6 weeks too long. You know, since that even happened. But it's just a disgrace from top to bottom. An absolute disgrace. The way that this.
Can I ask both of you this? Do you think if Daniel Levy was still at the helm, he would have went 6 weeks ago?
He would have gone. I think he would have gone before Christmas.
But I don't think that necessarily, because I've seen some people being like, oh, maybe Daniel Levy wasn't the problem. It's like, no, it's still.
Yeah, that's what I'm alluding to.
Do you know what? I just want to interject with something I've just been sent from Matt Law. He said, one source said Frank was constantly going on to the players about Arsenal and they quickly got sick of it. Before and after the games at the Emirates, he was telling them how good Arsenal were. The feeling among some was very much just shut up about Arsenal.
You can't.
Don't get me wrong, we talk about Arsenal. We talk about Arsenal and the rivalry. But that's just embarrassing. That's true.
That can't be true.
That was from Matt Law, and it's from, you know, Tottenham Tears as well. So
that cannot be real. That your gaffer. Well, now it makes sense why he's walking around with an Arsenal card, doesn't it? It'll be in the away end next week.
I've got nothing left.
Agent Frank has gone before the Arsenal game. Listen, it brings me on nicely because, of course, as you mentioned, Abs, 12 days. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, the 12 days before Arsenal, right? That is a decent period of time for someone to come in and galvanise a group of players. Now, we need to look at who that is, who that's going to be, who's going to come in, guys. Who are we looking for? We need the Manchester United manager bounce. Manchester United are now talking about trying to finish second in the Premier League. Of course, they dropped points against West Ham last night, but even to get a point out of that was good in the end for them. But who are we going to get in this interim period? Because they are taking on a relegation fight. This reminds me of when Jurgen Klinsmann came back to save Spurs from relegation that time. I remember around Christmas time he came in, didn't he? He goes, I can't perform miracles. I'm not Santa Claus. He was Santa Claus. He delivered. Who is our Jurgen Klinsmann this time round? Save us from the drop. Who's it going to be, guys?
I don't know, because the problem is people talk about, like when Harry came in after one day Ramos, we weren't really too close to the drop, like not as close as this. And you
we was on 2 points. We was on 2 points.
2 points.
But the difference was we were 8 games into the season.
We were not.
That's what I mean. So like this, the thing is, Abbi references it. If this was done a couple of weeks ago, it's a bit more comfortable. Now it is.
12 games.
I don't know who takes it. And you mentioned Carrick there. Carrick's actually a really credible coach. Like, he was done a really good job at Borough.
Yep.
Undefeated if you count both spells at United. So it's really hard to pick, because ideally I'd go interim, then go for a proper appointment in the summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know who that interim is, because I see this morning people saying Robbie Keane. Why would he leave?
Robbie Keane's not going to leave Ferencváros unless it's a permanent deal. But
the only thing I would say for Robbie is comes in, saves Spurs from the drop. All of a sudden in the summer, he's hot property. You look at things like Celtic. So Keano's built for the Celtic job one day. That's going to be his job. He's meant for that job. So do you put yourself in that mixer? We've heard him speak and say about why would I not come and manage teams in these places. Obviously, he was in Israel before. Because I'm in big games. But when an opportunity comes around like this, like anything in life, like we all know, it happened with Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
Why would Thomas Frank leave Brentford for Spurs? He did, because Spurs are a big club. And people can try and mock as much. We're not a big club. We are a big club. If you get given Spurs on your CV, all of a sudden you're like, I'll have a bit of that.
Especially if
and
you
we've seen it
at Spurs.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Conte, Jose Mourinho have both taken jobs at our club. If we wasn't a big club, they wouldn't have done that. It's as simple as. So it's just, who do we get in? And as you said, people are talking about Keano. Would he leave? Who knows? Do we go old school? Harry Redknapp. We've got the coaches.
I think it's got to be old school. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, and some people go, "Well, this is ridiculous shout." It's not. Like, I know the guy's 79, but he still makes his way to Cheltenham. Like, he's still able and bodied. Like, he can do a job. I look at him and I think, you need to have someone that is going to come in, put an arm around them, give them a cuddle, say, lads, go out there, express yourselves, play football. We will see results turn 100%, because there's no way that this team are as bad as they look. There's no way.
Agreed.
The talent's still in there. Even with all the injuries, there is talent there. I don't think it should go to Heitinger. I've never seen, I personally don't have any knowledge on what he's like as a manager. That's also part of the coaching staff that's already there. I would get rid of all of that personally. I think Robbie Keane would be a lovely one, but I just can't see him leaving Ferencváros at this stage of the season. Like, I think they're top of their league. Why would you leave? And
no.
I think that's a nice dream, but I can't see that happening. There's obviously shouts for Tim Sherwood. I mean, that wasn't the greatest time in our lives, but I just think it has to be someone that gets the club.
I'll tell you what, one thing, Tim Sherwood would not accept that level of performance from anyone.
No, he wouldn't. And it has to just be someone that gets everyone together, because when you're in a fight and a relegation battle, everyone's got to be on the same page. We've got to be that 12th man, and we've got to try. And I know that even last night the fans were trying. They were trying in terms of the performance on the pitch. Every time someone went in for a challenge, or every time someone did something positive and moved the ball forward or quicker, the fans were applauding at. So we will always get behind whoever it is. It's the board and the ownership is who we're booing more so than the team, even though the team does definitely hold account for it, and they will be fully held accountable for the next 12 games. But someone like Redknapp, who can just get us all back on the same page, have that exciting football, freedom, otherwise, I don't really know who else there is. Do you give it to someone like Jermaine Defoe, who's never managed before, but he's got his badges? Do you give
Listen,
it to,
if I see Ryan Mason turn up in the car park, I'm leaving. I already support Bromley now.
But it shouldn't be someone like Ryan Mason. But I fear
no, it can't. It can't. If I see him turn, I'm going to go absolutely mad.
I fear it needs to be someone like him, though. I do fear that.
Yeah, I've got a real big fear of that. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, we are in a relegation scrap, like you both said. So, we get Big Sam in. Is it too early to bring Big Sam in?
There is a manager who's available who would kick them all up the backside, and
don't say Deserby.
But I don't think that's a long term. Maybe a short term appointment.
He's too loco. Like him right now. That is not gonna. This is why I think Harry is the perfect person, because he's got that level.
He's been out the game too long.
Don't care. Don't care. Manager.
The last team he managed, it was the bloody Specsavers. What's it called?
No problem.
The worst team in the country.
Well, I'm not being funny. We look like we're playing in Soccer Aid, so it's fine. I don't think that whether or not he's been out of management for so long, he's still a manager. We look at Martin O'Neill and the job that he's obviously done at Celtic. You need that same type of thing. You need to have that same type of character.
But it's a different level, though.
But Sonny, I think that idea and that ideal of he's been out of the game for so long, this is why football's so messed up. Because we think, it's moved along, it's evolved so much. Carrick went into Man United and he went, I'm going back to basics. He's gone back
but he has got the pedigree, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but why has he got more pedigree than Harry Redknapp?
But he has managed more recently, whereas
there's
Harry
no pedigree in that.
But what's Carrick won?
He's a younger manager.
Yeah, I know, but he is sort of moving forward with the times. Whereas
going back to 4-4-2?
He's gone back to doing what Sir Alex Ferguson and Harry Redknapp and Sam Allardyce, etc., have all done before him.
Yeah, I just worry with Harry Redknapp whether it will be too much for him, and obviously, at the end of the day, why would he? Why would he?
Not?
He's got Cheltenham in a couple of weeks. I think I'd rather save myself for that. Be in the Guinness tent.
I'm sure he would love to do that. But, one last hurrah, keep Spurs up, old time's sake. If there's anyone that can do it, I believe it could be Harry Redknapp. Deserby, for me, is the same type of character that is like a Conte, Tankankuru.
He's a hothead. He's
never going to work with this ownership. It's never going to work with this. Don't waste your time. We'll be sacking him.
I know firsthand from Sandro some of the stories about Deserby. He is nuts. He's not someone that is going to settle an unsettled dressing room right now. What those, like you said, what those young lads need right now is a big personality, a big father figure to walk into that dressing room and go, lads, you shouldn't be here. This is not where you deserve to be. You're better than this, and we're going to show them. And also just have that level of walking in there and going, do you know what it means to play for Tottenham? Do you know what it means to play against Arsenal? And let them know. Thomas Frank, I don't think, had any ability to do that. How can he question Cuti Romero? How can he have a go at Cuti Romero, who's a World Cup winner, who's nuts? He just
well, no, we can.
Your mate Cuti.
Yeah, he can't.
No, but what I'm saying is, these players in this day and age, with the level of ego and arrogance that they do possess, this is why we're seeing the kind of performances from some of them, because they're like, I'm better than this. What's going on? We see yesterday. Look, we've been saying how much Xavi's come on. Yesterday he was awful.
Yeah.
He had a terrible game, and but those players there ain't up for dogfights. They don't want to be in dogfights. That's not what they're here for. They're here for the flicks and the tricks and the sitting down doing the celebrations all together. That's not what these lads are. So it needs to be instilled to them by somebody else, whether that's Harry or someone of his ilk. I just think, and this is why we're in this position with footballers nowadays, because we don't have those personalities as the gaffers anymore. And that comes down to player power.
It's a massive lack of leadership. We've said this for years on the pitch and at Tottenham. There is no leadership. No one wants to really take a game by a scruff of the neck and make that change from the top to the bottom of the club. And I always think it starts at the bottom and the expectation that you set. And somewhere along the line, it's been okay for us to settle for being this poor and being this bad. And it's just absolutely not going to run. Something that you said there about the players, there is a lot of weight that goes on these players, because everyone says, why don't you call out the players? I do all the time. But at the end of the day, you can't sack a full squad. How many times have I sat here, manager after manager, and had the same conversation? But this next 12 games is solely on them. It is on them. Whether or not you care about Tottenham, you care about the badge, or they're just whoever pays your wages. Every time you put that shirt on now, I expect to see blood, sweat and tears on that pitch. I expect you to literally not be able to walk at the end of a match. I want to see that given everything. And if you can't get up for it by doing and saying it's for the club or whatever, do it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be part of that team that takes Tottenham down. You do not want to put that on your CV. So it's time that they stepped up, show your own leadership on the pitch. And once now he's gone, you can't hide behind that. You cannot hide behind the decisions of the board because that's now been taken. Thomas Frank is not there. It solely now comes down to those players that are on the pitch.
And also, the players don't have I was reading again from Matt Law, he's saying there's no relegation contract clauses in these players' contracts.
Yeah,
like,
they go nowhere.
So the thing is, they've still got that incentive. And like the thing is, I if a lot of these players would get relegated, I feel like they'd have to sit there and suffer. I don't know how many teams are going to pick up these players, like especially with their injury records as well. I feel like it's going to have to be a massive, like we were going through the fixtures list, weren't we, the other week, and there are some games there to be won against rivals, but it is now a thing where I'm just looking at Forest playing Wolves and hoping Wolves somehow it's when you're doing that, you know it's lost.
Hoping
it's
that Chelsea win last night to help us out. Hoping West Ham win.
Oh no, it's so bad. That's why I just need to ride this season out, and then I say it and I'll say it again. There's only one person for the job. There isn't any other candidates. This is all comes back round to the fact that we had him in the first place, we didn't back him, and it went sour. And it's like everything. Do you know what? Other football clubs, and we can clip this up and put this, and because they'll love to put the comments. They watch us anyway. We've got so many. Most of our viewers on Inside Spurs are other clubs. Sure. It's quite funny, to be fair. But listen, other clubs look at us and they must think we're a joke because the geezer goes and wins our trophy for the first time in however many years, and we sack him, and we all wanted him sacked. We can't. None of us can walk away from that. We all did. Yeah, you know, Pochettino to the rest of the nation. This geezer's taken you further than you've ever been in the Premier League, taking you to the Champions League final. You don't back him, and then you sack him, and it's just all of the things that we've done wrong. Do you think there is a level of universal karma here for Tottenham Hotspur, and we're right at the edge of it? With the possibility of relegation, and I can't believe it. In 2026, this glorious home of Beyonce Stadium, you know, I've done X amount of boxing fights there. There's more boxing coming. There's some amazing fights happening there soon as well. Are we in a relegation battle because of the way that we've poorly operated and the way that we've treated people along the way?
I think this has been a long time coming. Like we have not had succession plans for anything. I mean, you can salute clubs smaller than us who do, like your Brightons and Brentfords. They've always got plans in place, and even like the big clubs, even like stuff might happen a bit erratically, they all seem now to be getting their ducks in a row. Like even Chelsea, I know that the Rossini stuff was a bit mad when it happened, and Man United, but it looks like they're now trying to turn the clubs over and make them respectable again and try and grow them. For us, it's just after the summer we had in the transfer window, Levy appointing, I mean, just everything that's happened this year. Like, I know we referenced Barnaby Slater's video of everything bad that's happened for Tottenham forever. But this season, we've had Levy seeing over everything, then he goes. We've had Fabio Paratici coming back as a sporting director. He goes. We've had a first-team coach, Matty Wells, leave halfway through a season. Like, I don't know what is going on with. I mean, this board is just an absolute mess. So they're just reaping what they sow, really, because it has, like, you know, not really, you know, planning for life after Kane or Son, selling players when it was, you know, you've not, you know, buying youngsters and expecting them to have the pedigree of the top level. Like, you look at Archie Gray last night. I feel sorry for him because he's just like playing right back yet again. You've got players that we thought were on the way out. Basuma, Bentancur, now being like heavily relied on. Dragusin, who like is just like not even good enough, but he now has to start. Loaning out your best players, you know, your best youngsters who are performing well out on loan, but we could do with them right now, like Vuskovic, like Mikey Moore. I just don't understand it all. And, you know, as you said it there, Madge, a lot of us wanted Ange Postecoglou, because if Ange Postecoglou was in situ right now, we'd be having the same exact conversation. We'd be saying, you know, he wasn't backed, and, you know, we feel sorry for him. It's rinse and repeat with Spurs. No matter who you put in, it is always going to be an issue. And with Poch, I think there's probably no other choice, but the fact that that's the reason for bringing him back makes me feel a bit guilty in a sense, because I'm like, it's like, if that doesn't work, then we might as well fold the club.
Oh, but by the way, the no other choice is for those fans who are, oh, you don't go back to your ex and all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something, Everton ain't doing too bad with David Moyes. Certain people, I know they lost last night in the end, but, they went to Fulham and got a result the other day. I don't see us going to Fulham and getting a result. The thing about certain managers, David Moyes, for example, and Everton fit hand in glove.
Yep.
Pochettino and Tottenham Hotspur is the same thing. And the one thing that you can say with Poch is like, he will develop these younger players. Like I said, I mentioned it. If people want to look at his track record of who's he done, people forget that when he came to Spurs, Kyle Walker was not Kyle Walker that we know. Yeah. Danny Rose, I remember tweeting Danny Rose was the worst left back we've ever had in our history. To the fact, I saw him in the flesh and I apologised to him and I said, I'm sorry I called you the worst left back in our history. You're not. You're unbelievable and you're playing for England. So I apologise. He developed those players. He can develop players. And I think there is actually, in all this mess, the one thing is there is some young talent in that Spurs team, as well as, Maddis to come back, Kulu to come back, some other bits and pieces. Abbi, me and you are on the same page with Poch. Sonny, are you on the train yet?
I just feel like the first time he came in, even though I think that squad was somewhat worse and underdeveloped, I feel like coming into this one now, it is like a massive job. It's a huge job, because I look at his tenure at Chelsea as well, because I guess that's the latest.
Went from 12th to 6th.
I know, but there was still moments
Cup
where
final.
Injuries, Sonny.
I could see the pressure was getting to him. I could see he was struggling, and I feel like everywhere he's gone, he has struggled. I feel like that was a chapter in our past. Maybe it's time to leave it.
I cannot. Sorry, I cannot believe
Go on,
you're
Abs.
sitting there still umming and ahhing over this. I think it's insane, Sonny. Insane.
I feel like it could ruin his reputation, though. What happens if it comes
that's
in?
up to him. We ruin everyone's reputation, so it's fine. And at the end of the day, you just say, "Oh, it's Spurs," so it's fine. He should never have been sacked in the first place. You can watch any single piece of content I have personally put out in the last near on 7 years, and I will still sit there and tell you in every single one that it was the wrong decision to sack Pochettino. He was done dirty by this football club. And when you mention karma, Madge, this is karma.
Yep.
This is full-on karma for the way that we have treated him in particular, how we sacked Martin Yeo at half-time, how we treated loads of managers in the past. But Pochettino had it the worst because he deserved to be backed. He deserved the time. He deserved the backing. He deserved the money. He had to go through so much with this club in a massive period of transition and still kept us competitive. We had a net spend of 0. We had 2 seasons away from home. We had a whole year without any fresh transfers, any fresh blood. And he still managed to keep us in the top 4. He got us to a Champions League final on a hope and a prayer, somehow. He deserved the opportunity to turn it around in a squad that had gone stale probably about a year before that we all started moaning. And the fact that we still sit here 6.5, 7 years later and still see the repercussions of that sacking, of that decision from Daniel Levy and Enoch is a disgrace, and it always will come back to the board. We've tried every single type of manager. We've done everything to massage Daniel Levy's ego when he was there by trying to get Jose, which was a long-standing thing that he wanted for himself, and not give him the backing. There is only one man that is suitable and fits our football club and gets it and will have the time and the patience from the fans and can work miracles with not a lot. And I fully agree with you that in terms of the bare bones of Spurs, if I look at who's there, I think Romero would thrive under Poch. Same as Van der Ven, same as Spence, same as Bergvall, same as Gray, same as Solanke, same as even someone like an Odebert. I genuinely feel like the spine of what we've got, the bare bones of it, is made for Poch. It is made for him to develop, made for him to grow. Mikey Moore under Poch, I'd love to see. It would be so good. And I don't think it's a thing that it's shouldn't we go back? And it's not, it's the only option and that's why we're doing it. It's the only option because it's the right option, and it was the right option 7 years ago. And we have to fix what we broke. Have to fix.
And you know what as well, if anyone is unsure, and like Sonny is, I think this is why Spurs, as fans and as a club, we get ourselves into trouble by thinking we're too good for the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think Pochettino is the right thing. And I think the fact of the matter is, as I said, you talk about his tenure at Chelsea. he took a disarrayed Graham Potter's Chelsea from 12th to 6th and a final in the first season with a load of young lads. Cole Palmer's breakout season was with Pochettino. Cole Palmer came to Chelsea because of a conversation with Pochettino. You know, we've seen Cole Palmer's form fall off a cliff from not working with Poch. There's certain players who thrive under the right guidance of certain people. And watching that podcast they did on the with Jesus as well, and the High Performance podcast, it was like everything he said and what they talked about was just, it's just made me want it even more.
Man.
And I think
they want to come home. Yeah. They feel it's unfinished business. We've got unfinished business. This is like a breakup that should never have happened. It shouldn't have. And in my opinion, Pochettino's got absolutely nothing to prove to us. We would be so lucky to have him back. And this is not saying he's perfect and he didn't make mistakes in his first time round. No one is perfect, and he's done some questionable things at times. But he is the best manager that I've ever seen Tottenham have. And it's the best football I've seen us play probably in my whole lifetime. And it's the most successful period, regardless of the fact we didn't win anything, which is a travesty and a disgrace that we didn't with the team we had. But he's got everything that we need. And he should be given the keys to the kingdom, to the high street, to the borough, whatever he wants. Give
and
him
to chicken.
Give him chicken.
And listen, we've got plenty of unfinished business. That's why we still have another regular podcast to come tomorrow. So guys, get your rest. Abby, get your dancing on in the kitchen. Sonny, start rewatching videos of Pochettino. Go and watch that night in Amsterdam against Ajax and the beautiful Hugo Boss. So go and watch it and feel the love. But the breaking news, Thomas Frank has been relieved of his position at Tottenham Hotspur. No longer the gaffer. He leaves with the worst win percentage in Premier League history. That's worse than Stellini. Sherwood. There's been a few. That's all we've got time for right now on Inside Spurs, but we'll be back tomorrow for our regular scheduled episode with more reaction. Don't forget, this show is sponsored by BetMGM. Download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gamblerware.org. Please gamble responsibly. Thank you to Abby and Sonny. Make sure you subscribe for tomorrow's episode. Goodbye, Mr. Frank. Up the Spurs.